Hello everyone, hello YouTube. How are you guys doing? We have here today Danny, the business advisor here in Odoo with me, Felix Yun, marketing officer, and we are doing the webinar today to talk about the POS system of Odoo. We are going to go through the process of how to manage your shop with our system. So, um, first of all, hello people, hello Danny, and our webinar today we will go through what's the background story of Odoo, and then jump to the demonstration of POS system, and then at the end we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any question regarding to this topic, if you have meet any trouble that's when you're setting up your POS with Odoo or other things, you can always ask your questions in the chat box below, or you can actually send us an email. The contact information is in the description box below. So let's get started, shall we? Danny? Okay.
Okay, so as Felix said, just a little bit before we jump right into the actual webinar itself, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of Odoo and also a brief introduction of myself and my role as a business advisor here in Odoo. So I'm Danny. I'm a business advisor in the Hong Kong office, in charge of the whole APAC region. So my role here in Odoo is to help businesses basically sort of qualify what their requirements are and see how Odoo can really help as a solution. So evaluating Odoo as a solution. I can present live demos, tailored live demos for different kinds of businesses to see how Odoo would fit in your business flow, discuss best practices from the other cases that we've handled before, and also manage your accounts, of course, afterwards as well. We can help in optimizing your workflow with Odoo, and of course in presenting and also giving you a better understanding of all core Odoo modules and applications as well. So again, the agenda for today, just to jump right into explaining what is Odoo exactly, also showing you the clients that are currently using Odoo. We'll then go over the webinar objective and then jump right into the webinar, and then we can have the Q&A session at the end later on as well. So what is Odoo? Odoo is essentially an all-in-one management software. It is an out-of-the-box solution that covers quite a lot of business scope but still remains user-friendly. It is a great solution, especially for small, medium-sized enterprises. As you can see later, we'll try to manage your shop with the POS, so you can see how that would work for your business as well. Here are just a few of the core apps. We do divide it into suites. So we have the website applications, sale applications, operations, manufacturing, finance, human resources, marketing, and also we have other extra integration to make, of course, your business process much more seamless and optimized. So basically you can customize your experience really based on what you need right now, and then you can scale up as needed as, of course, your business grows and then your needs and requirements grow as well. So just a little bit about Odoo. We're actually a Belgium-based company that has been established since 2005. We are currently at 4.1 million happy users strong. That is, I think, as of last year. We received 2,500 installs per day, and of course, our average growth for our users, number of users in terms of existing customers, is at 26%. We do have offices across the world. So we do have 3 in Europe. We have 2, one in New York, one is in SF for the Americas. We have 1 office in India. We have 1 in Hong Kong in charge of the whole APAC region. And our newly opened office is in Dubai as well, which will be in charge of the MENA region. On top of, of course, the core modules and the core apps that Odoo has to offer, we also have 17,000 plus apps in the Odoo App Store to basically cover the more specific needs that your business might have. And just a little bit on some of the clients, some of the names that you might be familiar with that are currently using Odoo as well. So we do work with a lot of small, medium-sized businesses, but also a few large enterprises as well, as you can see. And of course, this comprises of our 4.1 million Odoo users worldwide as well. Next, we're just going to jump right in. The title of today's webinar is to cover point of sale system and basically how you can manage your shop with Odoo. So of course, Odoo's point of sale can also manage, restaurant and table service at, let's say, a bar as well. But today's focus is just going to be at a retail store. So the key points here that I'm going to cover is, first of all, how are we going to configure the different products that you might have and also set your inventory. Next, we're also going to learn how to process orders. So we're going to see the user interface for the point of sale and how exactly we can process those, and also how we can set up the loyalty systems. Lastly, of course, on the back end side, we have to manage the inventory through reordering and also purchases. So I created a database for today's webinar that is, just comprising of the applications that you will need to manage your store with our POS system. So as I said, first in the agenda is we're going to see how we can set up the products with a product template, and also how we're going to manage the inventory. So initial inventory, inventory adjustments at the end of the year as well. So first of all, going into inventory, just a brief overview. So this is the initial dashboard. This is where you will be essentially able to see all of the, I would say, operations that are currently ongoing, that is late or waiting in your warehouse. So currently I only have one warehouse set up, but later on I will also show you how you can set up a separate warehouse and also separate locations if, for example, you have other stores in different locations. So here in receipts, when you do purchase, you will have incoming orders coming into your warehouse. You will be able to see all of the operations to process here for receipts. Next would be internal transfers. Of course, this would be interlocation and also inter-warehouse if you have multiple warehouse. Next, delivery orders. There's really not much that we can do with point of sale with delivery orders because it's really automatic. But if you do want to integrate, let's say, sales management for bigger orders, then the delivery orders would be accessible here. And then lastly would just be the point of sale orders. So these are the moves that we have to make when we do close our point of sale session. Now first, let's try to configure a product. Sort of the scenario that I've set up here is we are essentially a toy store, who is, of course, has a brick and mortar store, has a physical presence, and here's the product catalog. So let's create a new product here, the product template. So I'm going to go in and just create this new product called Fluffy Slime. Of course, it will be a storable product, which means that it will be traceable on the inventory side. You can set, of course, different product categories. I'm just going to set it as all right now. Let me set a sales price of, let's say, $5.99 per grams, let's say. So you can actually have multiple units of measures here in Odoo. So I'm just going to say that it's going to be 50 cents per gram, actually. And then, of course, the cost of you either making it or actually purchasing it. So let's say that's going to be at 20 cents. Next, we're obviously going to have to make it available in the point of sales. And we can also set the categories. So I think, of course, the toy slime would fit in the category of play toys. You can also actually integrate our point of sale system with a scale. So for example, in the case of this slime, because we're actually going to be pricing it by the gram, you can actually weigh it with a scale in order to weigh the slime and then get that information into Odoo. So I don't have the scale integration right now, so I'm just going to leave it unchecked for now. Next, under purchases, this will link a little later to the automated reordering rule, but let me just set a vendor. Let's just say it's a toy vendor. We're just going to create, of course, the records on the fly. It's really easy to create records in Odoo on the fly, and then we'll just set a price, which was the cost that we have set earlier, and then save that. And then next, of course, you can set up different routes. So if it's a make to order product, a buy product, you can also put in some more information on logistics. So things like weight, volume, and a few other descriptions as well. But it wouldn't be as relevant in this case, of course. So now that we have this fluffy slime set up, we are essentially going to have to, of course, set up the inventory. So of course you can do the purchasing route, which I will show you a little later, which is essentially, generating an RFQ and actually purchasing that specific item or that specific product into your inventory. But for right now, and also of course for, let's say, adjustments of inventory at the end of the year, or when you're first initially setting up Odoo for your store, you're going to have to do it manually to update the quantity on hand manually. So let's just do that. I'm just going to say this is going to be the initial setup of inventory. And I'll just put the date of that here. The inventory location is, of course, the warehouse stock, which is the only location and warehouse that we have right now. We can also set, of course, adjust the inventory for, let's say, one product category only. One product, you can select just a few products that you want to adjust or for the inventory of. But because right now we're just doing an initial setup of inventory, we're going to adjust the inventory for all product. So now we'll start the adjustments. Oh, I believe that I actually have another one running right now for the inventory adjustments for this one. Okay, let me just validate that and then go back to the one that we were doing. Okay, now we can start the inventory. As you can see, the theoretical quantity is still at 0. Remember, this is again the initial setup when you're first using Odoo for your shop. So now we can set actually the real quantity. So you can visibly go around your warehouse or your shop and see how many you actually have on hand and then input the quantity here. So let's just say that we have 10 of each. We'll have 100 grams and then 10 units of every other product. Of course, this is something that you can, the product templates and also the inventory adjustments, for example, is something that you can also import via Excel or CSV. But I'm just doing it by hand right now because we only do have a few products right now. So now that we have the real quantity set, we are going to save this inventory adjustment and then validate it. So then it basically will update the quantity with the real quantity that we have set on the right. So now with the inventory validated, essentially the idea is that we have the inventory that we've set here in the real quantity booked into our warehouse stock. So if we were to go into the inventory report, let me just retrieve that. You can see that the inventory on hand has changed. So now we've gone through the product template setup and also the inventory sort of configuration, especially for the initial setup. Now I'm just going to sort of go through how we can set up the different warehouse and how we can link it to the point of sale system later on as well before we jump into the actual interface of the point of sale. So as you remember, we actually initially only have one warehouse and one location, but I am going to create another warehouse. So of course you will actually have to go into the configuration to activate the multi-warehouse setting. I already have that activated, I believe. So we'll just go and do that now. Here, so the multi-warehouse. And then we'll just save that and then get to set up our second warehouse for our second physical store. So right now this is the warehouse that we've been working with earlier. So let's just create another one. Let's say that I do have another store in Wan Chai. So I'm going to call it the Wan Chai store. Of course, you can put an address in there if you'd like. And then save that. So this will be our second location for our stores. And we'll just also book some inventory into Wan Chai Toy Store. And how we can do it is essentially we can go back to the overview earlier and then create an internal transfer from warehouse stock to Wan Chai Toy Store stock. So here you can see the source location will be warehouse stock. And then we are going to go into WC, which is the Wan Chai Toy Store code name. So WC stock. So then we're essentially moving it from our main warehouse or our main store to our second store. We'll add a product. Let's say that we're going to move 5 of the light up astronaut in there, and also 5 of the BuzzFeed Lightyear figurine. So basically this is what you will do essentially whenever you do move inventory into a new store or warehouse. So once we do save that, we'll have to mark it as a to-do. We'll have to check the availability, of course, if we do have that even in the main warehouse. So let's say that the stores in Wan Chai need some inventory, then they can actually just create the internal transfer here, and then the people in the main warehouse will be able to check the availability and then validate the transfer and send it out as necessary. So we do have five units of both items there, so we're just going to validate this transfer. And now if we went back to the inventory report, as you can see, the number didn't actually change, but we can actually see here if we just expanded the tab for light up astronaut and Buzz Lightyear figurine, that there's 5 in the Wan Chai store, and then 5 in the main store. So I'll show you also later on how we can link the actual inventory, the actual warehouse, with the respective point of sale system. So now we're actually going to jump into the actual point of sale user interface. And if you recall, the second part of our agenda today is to process orders and also show you how our loyalty program can work on the POS. So let's go into the POS. As I said, we only have one point of sale system set up right now, which is the initial shop. So we'll create another one for the Wan Chai store later on. A few things that you can set up on the point of sale is, of course, the dashboard. That's where you'll be able to access and see all of the information from the point of sale point of sale sessions that you're running. You can look at the orders, the sessions, and then the customers as well. The product catalog is also available, and the price list. So the price list is really something that you can attach to every single contact. So if, for example, you have, let's say, a bigger account or an old customer that you want to give a bigger discount to, you can actually set a multiple price list. So for example, the public price list would just be the regular price that we have set in the product template earlier, whereas the gold price list I have set actually is going to give me 10% discount on all products. So you can actually specify it to the product group or to the specific product items. So as you can see, the product category, product, or even product variant as well. If it's promotional, let's say a Christmas discount or spring cleaning discount, then you can actually set up also when these prices or this discounts and promotions are going to be valid for, so the start date and the end date as well. There's 3 different ways of computation in terms of the discount. So first of all, you can give a fixed price discount, so $5 off all orders, for example. Next, you can also give a percentage. So that's what I'm doing right now, is to give a 10% discount to all orders, all products. And then lastly, it's this one's sort of the more advanced one, where you can also calculate it based on a formula. So based on another price list or based on a margin, and also with a rounding method as well. So I'm just going to keep it simple and give a 10% discount for everyone who is listed as a gold price under the gold price list. Next, you can also, of course, set up the loyalty program. So not all loyalty programs can be available in different POS, so you can set that up a little later. I'll show you. I've created one loyalty program here called Toy Story Loyal Customers. So of course, you can have multiple running at a time. Here you can actually set the points per currency. So essentially, you can maybe give one currency, 1 point for $1, let's say. You can also give points per product purchased or points per order. We can also do points rounding. So if it's, let's say, if you want to round it to the nearest 5, then if we have 3, then it's just going to go give the customer 5 points. Next will be the rules. So again, you can specify specifically what is the rule type if it's based on a category. Let's say that I want to give, maybe I want to clear out all of my bad toys. I want to give an incentive for my customers by giving actually more points for bath toys. I can say bath toys clearance as the rules. And then say that, instead of getting 10 points per product, they're actually going to get 15. And it can be cumulative. So we can say that we can actually set different kinds of rules, again, based on the product or the product category. And then, of course, the people running the POS session won't actually need to do any kind of calculations. It'll be actually calculated based on the rules that you have set here in the loyalty program. Next, of course, you won't have a loyalty program if there's no, I would say, rewards, right? There are different kinds of rewards that you can set. So the first one would be a gift. Next, a discount, an additional discount on that order, and then a resale, of course. The one that I've set for today's rewards is you'll get a free rubber ducky, essentially if you do have 100 points. So it'll deduct 100 points from the loyalty points that you already have. So now that we've gone through the overview of how to set up the point of sale loyalty programs and the price listing and everything, now we can actually go in to see how we can set up the point of sale system itself. So we'll just go here to the settings. So this is the settings for the individual point of sale, I would say station or session. As I said, you can actually use our POS for table service at a bar or restaurant as well, but I'm just going to focus on the shop interface today. If you do want to use, let's say, a scanner, a cash register or a printer, then we can actually integrate all of the hardware setup with what we call the IoT box as well. Of course, we can also set the barcodes to scan products and things like that. And then we'll make the price list option available. So you can set which prices are available. I'm going to make both the price list that we created today available, but the default one is the public price list. So if you have different stores in different countries and cities, then you can have just the relevant price list made available for that specific point of sale station. I'll also make the loyalty program available. Again, I'm just going to make the loyal customers program that I created earlier available. And then you can add in, of course, the different payment methods. Right now, I'm just going to make cash available. And then the other ones are just sort of, the inventory. So this is where you would actually set what your stock location is. This is where at the end of the point of sale session, so when you actually close it, this is where the inventory is going to be deducted from. So right now we're at the main shop. So I'm going to keep it at warehouse stock. So now that we've got this one set up, I'm just going to save that. And then go in and just duplicate this one for our One Chai store. So I'm going to just duplicate that and then rename this for the One Chai store. And it will be the same thing. So all of the setup that I did earlier for the initial store will be the same. But the only difference is that for the stock location, I'll actually set WC, again, the short code for the One Chai warehouse, as the stock location here. So it'll actually pull from that warehouse rather than the main warehouse. So you can do this with really all of the stores that you have. You just have to make sure that you change the stock location in the point of sale system setting itself. So we'll save that and then actually go in and see how we can process the orders. So I'll just start in a new session in the main point of sale. So this is our point of sale interface. So of course it is touchscreen supported. We can actually also support large scroll bars and all that. What you can see here on the right is actually sort of I would say Wi-Fi button. So our point of sale system, even though as I mentioned earlier, Odoo is a cloud-based solution, and this the one that I'm using, it's an online solution. You can actually use your point of sale system offline. And then you'll be able to sync all of the information once you actually go back online. So that just works for our point of sale system. So let's say right now that my customer Jane comes in. As you recall, Jane is actually under the gold price list, which has a 10% discount. So you'll see actually here, let's say the slime that is at 50 cents will actually be cheaper for Jane As you can see, it's at 45 cents. So all of these will be automatic and can be manageable with our contact application. Next, you can actually set, view everything by the categories. So I've set the categories of bath toys, the figurines, and then play toys, which is everything else. Again, this is set on the product template that I set earlier in the beginning. If you click on rewards, you can actually see how much points Jane has actually accumulated, and if she's actually eligible, I would say, for a free rubber ducky or whatever rewards you've set. In this situation, Jane actually hasn't purchased anything from us, so she's not part of the loyalty program yet. Otherwise, you can see her points and the rewards she's eligible for here. Here, this is where you would set the price list. Of course, the default for Jane's contact is the gold prices, but you can change it accordingly as well. Let's say that, if Jane was in line and she was ready to pay, she wants to buy 4 of the light up astronauts, but then she went to get something else, you can actually start another session for another customer while still saving the information that you had already added in for Jane. For the points here, as you can see here, as I add more items, the points will actually add up to the points that is actually relevant. As you can see, the points here are added because it's 15 points because it's for the bath toys. So we've actually set this rule so that bath toys get 5 more points than everybody else. But if I added in, let's say, the putty, I will actually just add in 10 points. So let's say that we're going to purchase 4 light up astronauts and also 1 of the putty, and just go in to do the payment. All of the payment options that you've made available, of course, we can also integrate with a card reader, and you can add in all of the different payment journals that you may want to use in here. And for now, we'll just have cash. I'm just going to input the correct amount and just validate this. This is the default receipt that we have. You can of course print it if you have if you have your system connected or integrated to a printer. And then we'll just go ahead with the next order, and that is pretty much how we process orders in our POS system. So for now, going back to our agenda, after of course we process the order and then also manage the customer loyalty program, I'm going to show you a little bit on the back end on how we can manage the reordering and the purchases of your items again. So let's just close the session. And then close and actually validate the closing and post the entries so that we actually have all of the inventory basically deducted out of the main warehouse and also the journal entries posted. So once that is validated, let's go back to our inventory. This was the initial numbers that we had. So we initially had 10 there. Let's run the inventory report again to get the correct inventory quantity. Now, as you can see in the main warehouse, we actually have only 1 of the light up astronaut left because Jane has purchased 4. So now let's do a repurchase of the light up astronaut. Now you can of course do this manually. You can actually go in and check how much inventory you have for the different stores and then do the purchasing. But what you can also do is you can also automate sort of that checking. So you can set up the different reordering rules. So let's create one for the light up astronaut and then automate and then run the scheduler so that you can see how the automation could work in order to remind you for the things that are actually low in stock, so you don't have to go in and check every single time. So for the light up astronaut, let's just say that you want to get an RFQ automatically generated. So basically a reminder to tell you that you're low in stock whenever you have only 5 remaining in the warehouse stock. And then the maximum quantity is basically how much the system will order up to whenever they do reorder. So let's say that the maximum quantity that we can store in our warehouse for the light up astronaut is 20. So recall that we only have 1 left in the warehouse stock. So we'll have the scheduler run. Of course, you can automate, of course, the scheduler. So let's say every day at the end of the day, they'll check and then generate all of the RFQs automatically. But I'm just going to manually do it to trigger the reordering rules now. All of the RFQs that I've been mentioning will be generated, of course, in the purchase app. Here we don't have anything right now, but once we do run the scheduler, because we are low on stock, below the minimum quantity that we've set, it will actually generate an RFQ automatically in the back end. So let's just run the scheduler now. And then refresh this. Sorry, let me just run the scheduler again. And then go back into the purchase app. Oh, it's actually because I don't have the vendor set up. So do keep in mind that if you want the RFQ automation to be generated, you actually have to set a vendor, because otherwise it won't generate the RFQ if they don't know which vendor to create the RFQ for. So I'm just going to set toy vendor again here, and then set the price. Save that, and then rerun the scheduler. Yeah, so now that we have the vendor all set up, when you run the scheduler, it will automatically create this RFQ on the purchase app for the light up astronaut. Now the reason why the quantity is 19 is, if you recall, we only have one in warehouse stock. And then the maximum quantity that we've set is 20. So it'll always order to fulfill the inventory up to the maximum quantity. So in this case, we have one in inventory, so we need 19 more to get to the 20, which is the maximum quantity we've set. Of course, Odoo doesn't automatically send this RFQ out, because sometimes you might want to wait for the order to be big enough. If delivery might be costly and things like that, but it will generate the RFQ. So all you really have to do is just, once you automate the run scheduler and you've set all of the reordering rules for the products, you can just go into the purchase app to sort of just check which ones are actually low in stock, because the RFQ will be generated, and then choose which ones you actually want to send out. Here, of course, the next obvious step in Odoo is always highlighted in green here. So you can send, of course, the RFQ by mail. The PDF will be automatically generated for you. So again, this won't be, the focus of it, so I'm just going to very briefly go through it, but the RFQ can be sent out to the actual vendor, and then once, let's say the vendor gives you the price and then you actually want to confirm it, then you can simply confirm the order. Now, by confirming the order, the delivery note, which is the receipt, will actually be automatically generated here. Now, if we went back to the dashboards that I explained in the beginning, you can see here in Receipts My Company, there is one to process. And that is the incoming receipt for 19 of the Light Up Astronaut. So the source document is PO01, which is the one that was automatically generated earlier. So what we'll do right now is, in order to just book all of this 19 into our inventory, we'll just validate this transfer and then apply it. And then now if we went back to the inventory report, we'll see that we'll actually have 20 in warehouse stock. And so that pretty much marks the full cycle, since now you already have enough inventory to start selling at your shop again. And yeah, so the last thing that's left in this webinar today is just the Q&A.
Okay, thank you for the detailed demonstration of POS system of Odoo. So let's jump to the Q&A session. If you have any question regarding today's topic that you would like to know more about, you can ask your question in the chat box below. So Dragon Monkey, what a nice name. Is there any way to add comments during checkout? Let's say I have a shipping company where we sell boxes and ship items. When I ship an item, can I add the tracking to the receiver's comment? Of course, you can add comment.
So in the actual point of sale system itself, I don't believe they can add, I would say, comments. What we can do though, if it is slightly complicated, I would say, where you would do shipments and things like that, what we can do is we can actually generate, an invoice for. Let me just go into the configurations and then show you. It's actually in the system itself, right here in the settings. Invoicing. So you can print invoices on customer reports. So of course, you would need the invoicing application for that. I would recommend using this because then you would actually be able to add, comments in the invoice itself rather than the report. So I would recommend using this feature rather than having it, let's say, on the receipt or something like that.
Okay. So, and a question from David. If you run the process of reordering, the new product will be added to the same order or create a new one?
So actually with the reordering rule, it would actually depend on the routing. So it is a little advanced setup, so I'm not going to show you, but just to briefly show you where you can find it. When you go into inventory and you go into the routing itself, you can actually select if you want it to be, aggregated into one. Let's say if it's the same vendor, you want it aggregated into one RFQ if there's an open one, or if you want to, keep it separate every time. So there's the option. So you'll just be able to find it here in the configurations. You'll just go to routes and then choose the option there. So you can do both essentially.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, do you have any follow-up questions or any more question about POS? I know that POS is just one of the function of Odoo, and it is closely linked to purchase, to warehouse management and invoicing, all the things you need for managing a shop, actually. So if you guys have no questions, we will end this this webinar here. And then if you want to know more in future, or you are actually trying out Odoo, and we can schedule a meeting or a demo with any link below. There is a schedule a meeting link that you can insert your information and then arrange a time of demo with Danny. So I guess we will end here. Let's see if there are any more questions. Okay. All right, there's one more question. Is there a way to see the actual inventory's existence in the POS app?
No, we can't actually see the amount of inventory in the POS app. We can only see it if you actually have the inventory app open. So not through the POS app.
Yeah, so it's not that hard to do. Just open another browser.
Yeah, what I usually do is, as I've done here, yes. I would usually just have the inventory report open in one, and then the POS open in another one. So it's quite fairly simple.
Yeah. So Odoo is hold on the internet browser, unlike the POS system or POS machine that you see out there, that you cannot do anymore.
So I guess it's a little bit more flexible because it is on your browser.
Yeah.
And even if, as I said, the POS is available offline, even if something were to go wrong, your shop won't, let's say, just not run. Of course, you can't check, I would say, the inventory automatically if it's not online, but you can still keep the browser tab open to see the inventory report.
Yes, and this is one of our key feature of Odoo is actually on your browser, and you can install it in your Windows. It will be easy to manage. So let's see. All right, then if you have any further question, or actually we missed your question, you can sell without assistant. Right. right, maybe. And okay, so we will end this episode here, and then we will see you guys next week on Wednesday about another topic. So good days, goodbye.